When did a gut feeling save your life? I was walking home from soccer practice when I noticed the same white van had been driving behind me for 6 blocks. It was getting dark, and I was taking my usual route through the neighborhood. Nothing seemed weird at first, but then I realized this van had been behind me since I left the school parking lot. I told myself I was being paranoid. Lots of people drive through our neighborhood after work, but when I turned left on Maple Street, the van turned left too. When I crossed over to Oak Avenue, it followed again. My heart started beating faster. I decided to test it. I stopped at the corner store like I was going to buy something, then changed my mind and walked out. The van was parked across the street, engine running. I could see the driver looking at me through the windshield. Middle-aged guy wearing sunglasses even though it was almost dark. Instead of going home, I walked toward the busier main street where there were more people and lights. The van followed me again, driving really slowly. That's when I got really scared and called my mom. Mom, there's this van that's been following me for like 10 minutes. Are you sure, honey? Maybe you're just being... Mom, I'm sure. What should I do? She told me to go into the nearest store and wait for her to pick me up. I ducked into the drugstore on the corner. Through the window, I watched the van pull into the parking lot. The guy got out. He was definitely watching the store, waiting to see if I came back out. My mom showed up 15 minutes later and parked right by the entrance. When I ran to her car, I saw the van guy quickly get back in his vehicle. There, that's him, I told my mom, pointing at the white van. She looked over and her face went white. That's the van from the news. What news? There's been this guy in a white van approaching teenage girls after school. 3 girls in the next town over reported him this week. My mom immediately called the police from the parking lot. The cops showed up in like 5 minutes and pulled the van over as it was trying to leave. Turns out the guy had rope, zip ties, and a taser in his van, plus photos of the local high school and middle school that he'd taken from across the street. The police said he'd been watching kids' routines, figuring out who walked home alone and what routes they took. I wasn't his first target. He'd been following different kids for weeks, but I was the first one who noticed and took action instead of just going straight home. The detective told me later that if I'd gone home like normal, the guy knew exactly where I lived. He'd probably been planning to grab me right from my own driveway. They found a notebook in his van with addresses of 6 different kids, including mine. Times when we left school, which way we walked, who was usually home. My address was circled in red with Thursday 4:30 p.m. written next to it. That was exactly when I usually got home from soccer practice. He'd been planning to take me that day. The scariest part was when the detective showed me pictures of his van from inside. He'd taken out the back seats and put in restraints bolted to the floor. This wasn't just someone being creepy. This was someone who had a plan. They arrested him on charges of stalking, attempted kidnapping, and possession of weapons. Found out he'd done the same thing in 2 other states. My mom still picks me up from practice now, even though I'm 16. She says she doesn't care if it's inconvenient. The detective told us that most kids ignore their gut feelings because they don't want to seem paranoid or get in trouble for being late. But trusting that weird feeling saved my life. The guy confessed to planning to grab me, drive me to this abandoned warehouse, and keep me there. Sometimes being paranoid isn't paranoia. Sometimes it's survival.